I would like to turn the call over to Chris Costello. Please go ahead, Chris.
Thanks, Yolanda. I'd like to welcome everybody to today's UFC 226 media conference call. UFC 226 takes place as part of International Fight Week on Saturday, July 7th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. The event airs live on pay-per-view. And the lead into 226, the Ultimate Fighter finale, Friday, July 6th at the Pearl Theater at the Palms. Today's call will be in two parts. The main event featuring heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic and light heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier will join us in 30 minutes. But to kick things off, please welcome the athletes competing in the co-main event title fight, featherweight champion Max Holloway and number one contender Brian Ortega. With that, we can open up the questions.
And at this time, if you do have a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. If you are using a speakerphone, please pick up your handset prior to pressing star 1 or release your mute button. Again, that's star 1 for questions at this time. We'll pause for just a moment. Our first question will come from Damon Martin with flowcombat.com. Please go ahead.
Hey guys, let me first question for Max Holloway. Max, obviously you had a bit of a letdown in your last fight, trying to get the fight with Khabib, and now you're moving on to Brian Ortega. Did you allow yourself a little time to kind of, get that out of your system and then move on to this, or was it a pretty quick turnaround?
You kind of broke up there, bro. What'd you say?
So, obviously you had the disappointment of not getting the fight with Khabib at 223. Did you allow yourself to get a little upset about that and move on, or did you move on right away and get your head focused on Brian Ortega?
Shit was depressing. I got two fights pulled for me 2 months apart, March and April, and then, man, it wasn't a good place to be, but, now we're here. I was looking, that whatever happened, it is what it is. I just can't wait now. It's next week. Next week I get to go out there and show out. So looking forward to next week now.
Where would you put Brian Ortega in terms of the toughest guys you've faced in your career? Based on obviously you've been on this huge winning streak. Where would you put him in that list? Do you think he's the toughest, most well-rounded guy you faced, or do you believe you faced tougher opponents in the past?
I believe he's one of the best. I believe he's one of the best guys in the world, and I also believe that his team is one of the best teams in the world. They wouldn't be in front of me if they wasn't. So, I think he's the best, but the one of the best, but the best is still blessed. So you gotta see me next week.
You're obviously defending your featherweight title next weekend, but you've been, no secret that you talked about moving to lightweight. You almost did it for the Khabib fight. Have you set a time limit on how long you want to fight at featherweight? 1 fight, 2 fights, and then move to lightweight, or are you more concerned at staying at featherweight now?
At the end of the day, Dana White said it. He said it when I took that fight. That thing was, that was projecting to do as big as 205, and that was like, you guys know how big that 205 card was. That's million plus buys. So, we see what happens. 155 right now. No disrespect to the guys up there, but it's a logjam. It's been a logjam for 2 years. 145. We got everything rolling. We had a logjam, and now we're rolling. Now we keep the ball rolling, but. If we go up there, who would I fight? I don't know who I'd fight. I don't know who they'd want me to fight. They're Khabib or whoever. But we see what happens. Of course, I'm definitely going to go up. It's just a matter of time. Who's left at 45, and then medically wise too. So there's a bunch of questions that we can sit down and talk to the UFC after this fight. But first things first. I got business to handle at 45. I'm going to defend and. I got one of the biggest fights of my life coming up next week.
Absolutely. And a question for Brian Ortega. Brian, everyone knows you so well for your submission skills, but you actually had, knockouts in the UFC prior to the Frankie Edgar fight. But do you feel like you answered a lot of questions about your striking and your knockout ability when you finished Frankie to kind of move away from just being the submission guy?
Yeah, of course, man. I feel like, because before those two, the last back-to-back fights pretty much against Moicano and Cub were submissions, so everyone was just looking at the submission part of it. But, now, with the Frankie, it just kind of reminded people that, I got the stand-up element as well.
When you came to the UFC, obviously you had, those crazy third-round finishes, so many in a row, but your last two you've gone out and been pretty dominant. Second-round finish against Cub, first-round finish against Frankie. Do you feel like you've kind of turned a corner a little bit to where you've kind of gotten that slow start maybe a little bit out of your system, or has something changed in training to where you've kind of focused on, becoming more of a fast starter or any of that?
Nah, man, honestly, before I used to kind of just care a little bit more about what the outcome would be, and then lately I haven't really cared too much, to be honest, man. I just go in there and just do my thing and just leave no worries in there and just kind of just have fun while I'm in there, and that itself just kind of worked its way into these fast starts, and but yeah, man, I just stopped kind of caring about the outcome and just going in there and going balls to the wall.
And last question, I know winning the title is the ultimate goal here, but you've talked so much about your charity and the things you want to do to help people and kind of be out there and doing those kind of things. What is bigger for you in this fight, winning the title, or is it more about the platform it will give you to do that so you can help more people and do more things outside the sport?
Well, the belt is a selfish goal of mine, as in terms of wanting to become the best in the world. And for me, if I have the belt, pretty much what it means is, you're at the top of the limelight, and when you're at the top of the limelight, you have more eyes that are on you, and ultimately, I just want a lot of eyes on me, so I can just share my message on trying to just help people out, and like I said, make the world a better place.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, boss.
Thank you. We'll go next to Stephen Muehlhausen with SportingNews.com. Please go ahead.
Hi, guys. Thank you for taking time out today. The first question is for Max. And, Max, I just wanted to ask, and I don't know if you've said it in previous interviews, but how long did it take to get over the disappointment of UFC 223?
I don't really know a timeline. It just was depressing, man. That shit was, look, I'm a guy who's used to fighting 2 to 4 times a year. Last year I had 2. The year before that, I think I had 2. And then, this year is my first one, and I'm supposed to have 2. And the depressing stuff was they got taken away from me. Doctors doctors doing their job. I'm not hating on no doctor, but this is doing their job. So it was out of my hands. So it was a bit depressing. But it's like I said. I'm focused, and I can't wait. I can't wait for next week. It's finally here. We're a week away, and can't wait to go out there and remind the world.
And I want to ask this question to you, Max, and to Brian. And, a lot of people have been dubbing this fight the greatest featherweight title fight in history, even bigger than what we've seen with Conor McGregor and Jose Aldo, just considering, Max, where you're at this stage, and Brian, and where you're at. Do you guys feel this is a bigger fight than Aldo McGregor, or do you think it's the biggest featherweight fight since then?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. This is the biggest featherweight fight for sure. If you look at it in the last whatever years, 10 years or so, it doesn't have the likes of Aldo, Edgar, Mendes, or even McGregor. So I think so. This is huge. Two young lions, but 2 young faces. With 2 young faces, we stood practically brand new to the sport, so I think it definitely is the biggest fight of featherweight division.
And yourself, Brian?
I agree.
Thank you guys for the time, and the best of luck next Saturday.
Thank you, boss.
Thank you. We'll go next to Jeffrey Harris with 411 Mania MMA.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. First off, for both Max and Brian, have either of you been informed yet on how the weigh-ins will work for this fight? Will it be back to the afternoon weigh-ins, or will you be weighing in early in the morning for this fight?
I have no idea. That's Chris. Chris, let us know what's going on. We're trying to figure it out, but I think so. It might be morning still.
Guys, for this event, it will be the morning weigh-ins.
Roger. There you go.
Now, the talk right now is the UFC will be moving back to the afternoon weigh-ins, or at least that's the plan. Do either of you have a preference? And I mean, Max, in the past, certainly you were set to fight Anthony Pettis. He failed to make weight for your title fight. You made weight for that fight, for the interim title. And it seems in the last 2 years, it seems in a comparable period, 62 fighters missed weight compared to 32 missing weight beforehand. Is this a problem, or should it stay at the morning weigh-in?
I believe it's not a problem. I don't think it's a problem. I just think so. People, they still trying to figure out their timing with it. At the end of the day, if they want to bring back the afternoon weigh-ins, they shouldn't take away the morning weigh-ins from the guys who wants to do it. If they want guys, they should do one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And the guys who in the morning want to go over there and get it done. And then the guys in the afternoon, if you guys want to suffer all the way to whatever, 4 o'clock, 5, 4:15, 4:30, you guys go ahead and do that. So I think they should just have two of the weigh-ins. If you opt out of the morning one and you can't, and you don't want to make it, then you have the option to go all the way in the afternoon. And then if you want to do the option in the morning, then you do it.
Max, was it a blessing in disguise at all that the Khabib fight was called off? Because I know you were coming off the foot injury. Is the foot injury better? Is it healed now? And are you much more prepared for a big title fight against Brian Ortega?
Yeah, I was prepared. I was ready to go. I was ready to go in April. My ankle was ready to go in April. A lot of people keep questioning it. I was ready. I was ready to fight. If you want to be the best, you gotta go out there and do the damn thing. So I feel great, man. I feel good, and next week y'all gonna see it again. You guys gotta get reminded. So next week gonna be fun.
And for Brian, do you see holes in Max's game that you're going to be exploiting for this fight?
No, I mean, obviously we always train and we watch film on everyone we fight, and we get a nice training camp based around that. And yeah, absolutely, man. I wouldn't be here challenging the guy if I didn't think I could beat him.
And likewise for you as well, Max. And that's it for me.
Yeah, the beautiful thing of the sport, when you're outside this game, you're watching. People say this, people say that, but we get to find out. We get to find out. So you guys make sure you guys tune in next week, and we're gonna find out.
Thank you, gentlemen, and good luck.
Thank you.
We'll move now to Harry Kettle with Sportskeeda MMA.
Hi guys, my first question is for Max. Max, people refer to you as someone who can carry the featherweight division for years to come. For you personally, what's more important, to have a resume of big names that you've defeated, like Aldo and potentially Ortega, or is it more important to be able to say that you've helped to grow the prestige of the featherweight championship?
My man DC said it perfect. It's this is a legacy thing. When it's all said and done, I want to leave a legacy. And whatever way it's done, if it's helping the division, if it's fighting big names, I just want to be remembered one of the greatest of all time to ever do this in the sport. So that's just what I want to do. I sacrifice a lot of time away from my family, away from my son, and I just want to make them proud, make my family proud, make my fans proud, and leave a legacy.
And you mentioned that obviously your last 4 fights have followed the same pattern of fighting in June, then in December, over the last 2 years. Do you want to continue with that trend, or do you get restless when you go that long without being in the octagon?
Man, I love fighting. I just love fighting. This is what I think I was put on the earth to do, is to fight. So, the more fights, the better. But, the UFC got to be smart with the way they use certain guys and use certain fighters. So, if they want me to fight more often, I'll fight more often. If they want me to stay on the schedule, then I'll stay on the schedule. It doesn't matter with me.
And a few quick questions for Brian. Brian, your work outside of the octagon has been well documented. In the lead up to this fight, how much time have you been able to dedicate to the Brian Ortega Foundation in comparison to your usual day-to-day life when you're not in camp?
I mean, obviously, I prefer to not be in camp. That way I have more time. But this time, we were able to have hospital visits, and we went and visited the kids over there and hung out with them and just kind of just shine some light on their day because they've been there and stuck in the hospital all day. And then after that, we went to the beach and we had a surf experience day, and took all the kids out surfing. Man, had a great time with them. All the kids who have cystic fibrosis, we took them out there and they surf with the pros and surf with guys like myself and everything, and then just kind of watch them have a good beach day, and that was it. But only two events really happened during this training camp, just because I have to buckle down and not really see past my opponent and not see past myself and get comfortable. I really got to go in there, work hard, train hard, and once I do my work next week, then I can go back to doing what I do.
And you spoke during a recent interview about gradually kind of becoming more comfortable dealing with the media and interviews. Do you find yourself enjoying every aspect of having a bigger profile now, or did you prefer it more when you were kind of a dark horse?
I like the dark horse era better. I like the unknown.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Best of luck next week.
Thank you all.
We'll go next to Akhilesh Ganavarapu with MMA India. Please go ahead.
Hello, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time. My first couple of questions go to Max Holloway. Max, the talk surrounding Ortega's game is largely about his jiu-jitsu, and half of his wins have come by submission. Now, you have fought some of the best strikers and well-rounded fighters in the division, so I'm kind of interested to get your thoughts on a different dimension of challenge that Ortega would bring come July 7th.
We're about to find out. Tune in next week. This is mixed martial arts, guys. Everybody keep talking about his submission, his striking, my submission game. At the end of the day, we find out. That's the beautiful thing about this sport. We're about to find out, and next week, y'all gonna see.
Gotcha. And you've almost cleaned out the division, and there was even talk about you moving up a weight class. You're still 26, very, very young in the sport. Now, UFC 226 is also arguably the most stacked card of 2018. So give us your thoughts on what fighting in the co-main event means to you, all the sponsorships that have come your way, and all the spotlight just at the age of 26.
It means a lot, I wanted to be on big card. You want to be a part of these big cards. You want to be a part of history. We got a man in the main event going for history. One of them trying to be the longest reigning defending heavyweight champion. One of them trying to hold two belts at the same time. And then you got big. They call it a super fight. They're not only talking about the main event. They're talking about the co-main event too. So it means a lot to me to be able to have this spot on this card. This is like the Super Bowl of the UFC. A blockbuster, a big blockbuster hit that comes out in the summer. This is it.
Gotcha. Next couple of questions for Brian. Brian, you're undefeated coming into the fight on the back of big wins against legends such as Cub Swanson and Frankie. Now, while you got those finishes, it seemed like you were pulling them out of nowhere. Given Holloway's durability, how important do you think it is against the champ to remain switched on throughout the fight?
I mean, it's got to be important, because when I go in there, I don't go in there to score points. I don't go in there for show. I go in there just one objective, and that's finish my opponent. I really made a statement when I went to UFC and put myself in that kind of mind frame where if I'm going to be in this game, there should be no decisions. And for me, it's just this mind switch that happened a long time ago, and it just keeps getting better and better. And with, different opponents, it works differently, Just some people can last and survive a little bit longer than others, and then others, they just fall quicker. So for me, it's just my switch is always on.
Well, absolutely. It's also interesting you say that because your last decision win came in 2014. Now I got to talk about Holloway's durability once again. While, you'll be facing him next weekend, how impressed were you with Max's wins over Jose Aldo?
No, that was dope, man. The guy beat Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo, I don't think people give him too much credit, but he was holding down the featherweight division for about 10 years. He became the champ, and he stayed the champ, I believe, for 10 years until him and Conor met. And then after that, people kind of, in a way, forgot about Aldo. But the guy is a legend himself, and for Max did that twice to him. You know, that's very impressive.
Absolutely. One final question for you. You previously said that this fight will be as big as Conor and Aldo in the featherweight division. Talk us through your rise over the past 12 months since your win over Renato at UFC 214.
I mean, it's crazy, man. You know, just a year ago, I was getting ready to fight in my backyard over here in Anaheim, California. And a year later, I'm getting ready to fight for the world title. That's something that doesn't happen to too many people, where they pretty much earn a shot in less than a year. This will be my fourth fight in less than 1 year. And, yeah, I fought Moicano, and then took a little vacation and went to Guam after that. And then from there on, it was work. Got ready for Cub, beat Cub, went to Mexico, saw my family, and then boom, took the Frankie Edgar fight. And now, right after the Frankie Edgar fight, we took the Max Holloway fight.
Yep. So thank you once again, gentlemen, and all the very best for next weekend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And as a reminder, that's *1 to signal for a question at this time. We'll go next to Ryan Sprague with MyMMAnews.com. Please go ahead.
Thank you, gentlemen. Just a real quick question for both of you guys. I'll start with Brian. Brian, you just mentioned that you're in 4 fights in a calendar year, and you're talking about how when you're in the top of the division, you're in the limelight. You have more people's eyes on you. Do you think that you need to keep taking that many fights to be able to be in the limelight, or would you rather take the larger fights?
I'd rather take the larger fight. Larger fights mean more. Just cause, man, two good large fights a year is good enough for me. Training full on year round is great, and I love staying in shape and always being ready. But I mean, I kind of feel like sometimes I don't have a life. All I do is just live in the gym. There's a lot of time, that we sacrifice from my family and from everyone, and pretty much I really haven't had a life in a year, man. I've just been training, working, and just trying to climb to the top. So if I got it my way, I would work hard, get 2 crazy fights in the year, and then just relax for a little bit.
And do you think that would be a level to allow you to provide more for your foundation?
Absolutely, man. This game is who can move the needle, you know what I'm saying? And the more eyes that are on you, the better. And the more you're doing better while these eyes are on you, the more the fans are going to go for your side, they're going to cheer for you. And ultimately, that's what I want to do, man. Either gain fans and supporters from everywhere, you know what I'm saying? UFC is one platform, and, after this, I'm going to be doing a little bit of acting and doing some stuff like that. So it's going to just get more eyes on me from different platforms to help me pretty much relay my message that I want.
Thank you. And Max, kind of the same question to you. Do you feel like you might be having to take too many fights, or do you think that you're right at the correct amount of fights in a year?
Yeah, I think so. I like fighting, man. I love fighting. I love being in the gym, and I love training. And it's just time management thing, We figure it out, But if you get 2 big fights a year, that's also good. But I take whatever I get, This window is too short. This window is too short to be kicking back in and enjoying, So if I fight more, I fight more. If I fight less, I fight less. If we get big fights, we get big fights. And if so on and so on, I just want to fight, man. I'm here to fight, and that's what I want to do.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's all I got.
Thank you, both.
Thank you. And our final question will come from Rodney James Edgar with MMA Soldier. Please go ahead.
Hey, Max. Obviously, everybody already knew that Brian Ortega's, a really outstanding fighter, but his last 2 just, completely ran through 2 of the best guys. Did you kind of have that aha moment when you saw that, going, man, this kid's even better than I thought he was?
No, not really. The thing you gotta understand is that once you're in the top, once you're in the UFC, I mean you gotta be pretty good. And when you get into the top 10 and the top 5, that means you're like one of the best guys in the world. So I respect everyone that stepped in the octagon. I respect, and then to get into the top 10, top 5, and now be a challenger for the title, you know, that's always respectable. You know, I respect everyone at the end of the day.
Cool. Obviously, you want to stay focused on this fight, but you know, you're always wheeling and dealing as a businessman. You've always got a game plan, a vision for where you want to go. You think after this, regardless of the outcome, we're finally going to get to see the Frankie Edgar match?
We see it happen. You know, we gotta sit down. We talk at the UFC. You know, first things first. We got business to handle next week, as always. But if Frankie's the next guy. You know, my talks with the UFC is not hard. They call up. I tell them we talk, and I tell them, look, you find the best guy you guys think is the best guy. Whoever you guys think the best guy is, put him on this contract. Put his name on this contract. I'm gonna sign the dotted line. That's it. It's plain and simple.
I love it. There's a lot of great fights between now and your fight in Las Vegas. A lot of fights going on, including a Hawaiian champion that's fighting tomorrow night. So any fights that you're looking forward to leading up to fight week?
You know, Team Hawaii for the win. You know, all the time the Hawaii wave be rolling. So yeah, I know Ilima's fighting tomorrow. You know, she's gonna do her thing. And then I think so. We got Hawaiians on the Contender show next week Tuesday, and then we got, of course, Brad headlining the night before us, and then I think Osovich is on that too. So should be fun. Should be a fun week. You know, should be a fun week. Great week and a half for Hawaii, and it's gonna be exciting for fans.
Great. T-City, same question for you. Any fights that you're looking forward to?
No, man, not to be honest. To be honest, I don't even watch fights too much. I'd rather go surf. I'd rather go do something outside.
Really?
Too much of a TV watcher. But I'm just getting ready and happy for next Saturday. That's the fight I'm looking forward to.
Right on. Every time you step in the cage, you look absolutely massive. I imagine that you walk around, you know, pretty heavy in comparison to 145. Talk me through the last week of your weight cut. What is that? Is it very difficult for you? I mean, how much weight and what's the process?
I mean, the process is just make 145. No, I'm Mexican, man, so we like to eat a lot, you know what I'm saying? Mama and Dad always make them tacos, you know? So, yeah, I walk around pretty heavy, but, I mean, I train hard, I work hard, and I've never missed weight. And the last week, pretty much for me, is just kind of, I've been learning how to do that water load trick, I guess, you know, where you drink a lot of water and you pretty much make it an easier cut for yourself. And against the Frankie fight, that really worked well. So I'm going to try it on this fight.
Oh, very good. And last question I have for you, T-City, is, you know, obviously this is a 5-round championship fight. You know, Vegas has an interesting climate, you know. I mean, it's not humid. It's not really at a high elevation, but it is really dry and it is very hot. I mean, I know you're fighting inside, but you still have to kind of get acclimated. So how do you prepare differently for a 5-rounder in that climate coming into this one?
No, I mean, I'm always training over here, man, and I got Mexican blood running through my veins, and we're desert people, you know. That's where we thrive the most.
Well, thank y'all, gentlemen. I appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing y'all.
Thank you, boss.
Thank you. And with that being our final question, I'll turn the conference back over to Chris Costello.